We told you guys from day one, we said Erika, Erika, Erika. Whenever she did the hourglass thing, and they're like, is this it for Erika? We said no. No. Erika's smashing it, saving herself. When Ricard made it to Final Five, we said no chance Ricard wins. When Xander won Final Four immunity, we said it doesn't even matter because Erika has us in the bag. Guys, we told you and you didn't listen. Since day one, we said Erika. Round of applause for Survivor Buffs. Yeah.
We predicted the future.
All right. In actuality, we did not see this one coming at all. At
Right.
all. Not that we didn't see any path of victory for Erika to win. It wasn't like it was a completely like Natalie White or I don't even know. I don't even know who else to. I don't think there's that many people that would consider Erika to be like bottom like five winner. Don't think many people are gonna have her like, oh, she's one of the greatest winners. But what do you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, you and I have tier ranked winners before. That's one of our more popular videos on Reality Pop. I
Yeah.
feel I feel like if we had to include Erica in that tier rank, I do feel like she did play, like, in my opinion, if I went on
Mm-hmm.
Survivor and this was said to her on the jury, she played exactly how I would want to play,
Yeah.
which is, peaking at just the right time, being aware of her surroundings socially,
Yeah.
winning a few challenges, even
Two. Yeah.
being a puzzle god. I think she did play a great game, and despite the challenges and the unlucky rock draws, because I think that Erica is the best winner with the worst luck. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
I think she had terrible luck. I do. Besides Luvu winning out, I think that she did have bad luck with the rocks, with rock draw again going
Yeah.
bad. But she overcame all that, and so I would say I'd put her probably high C, low B tier winner.
Yeah.
I
I was
think
thinking the same.
honestly, I think Erica is like the perfect person to start off this new era of Survivor, in my opinion. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Adam and I had the privilege of being at a finale party and being able to watch it together. And we had people coming up to us all night saying, "Oh,
How
Erica's
we were the best podcast there is,
exactly."
amongst other things.
Yeah, amongst other things. But the things that people were talking to us about the most was how they wanted Erica to win really bad. I think Erica definitely had the most stands out there,
Hmm.
and for good reason. I think she is a very likable winner. Um, and she was playing a great game. Also, people were definitely starving for a woman to win because we haven't
Yeah.
won 17.
Lucina was the last one.
I know Lucina was the last one, so good on Erica for breaking the curse, and also the curse of the purple hair. Not becoming the next purple Kelly.
Yeah.
But I really did appreciate Erica's gameplay, and I do think she was the perfect person to start off this new era. Is she who I wanted to win personally? No, but the whole night, what I was saying, and Adam was next to me. The whole night, I was saying I really wouldn't mind if Erica won. Like
Right.
I kept saying I think that would be really interesting. I think it would open up a lot of discussions, and this is what I wanted to talk about a little bit with you, Adam, is that I do feel like Erica was under edited.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I do feel like if she was the winner, I wish that the edit wasn't making Xander seem so like godlike, because people are really confused as to how Xander got 0 votes in the finale. I'm not really confused, even though I feel like maybe he should have got a couple. I'm not confused that he didn't win, and 0 votes, the jury talks. We know, you know how it is, so I'm not surprised he got 0 votes. I didn't see it coming, but I'm not surprised. um but I wish we could have seen a little bit more of Erica throughout the entire season. I mean, after episode 6, she was definitely, in the picture,
Hmm.
going good, but still under edited. I mean, I know I saw the stats. I saw like the stats of the edit and everything. And I feel like she was like down there with Bob Crowley, in terms of her edit, not
Hmm.
getting professionals. I, so maybe that's an editing issue. Maybe that's a reason why some people are feeling like she didn't deserve the win, even though she is a very deserving winner in my opinion. It's because we didn't see everything, but the whole time people are talking about how she's such a big threat. She's going to win at the end, and that's exactly what happened.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Eric, a good way to describe Erica's win is I feel like she's someone who most people are going to appreciate and understand her win more when they look back on 41 as opposed to watching it live. For example, like Chris Doherty is someone who, when he won Vanuatu, he was considered about the same, like a C level winner. But now the Survivor fans like us that rewatch seasons and study it, Chris is a top tier winner. Like his end game was arguably the best of the
Absolutely.
show's history. Um,
Absolutely.
Conversely, I feel like Aris might be someone who, you know, everyone was kind of split, Terry and Aris, but even the Terry fans had a lot of respect for Aris, and we knew it was going to be one of those two. Now, looking back on it, a lot of people don't value Aris's win as much as they did at the time. So sometimes Survivor has that effect where in the moments, victories can seem like they weren't, or even Earl's. Like when Fiji came out, it was just kind of like everyone wanted to forget that season right away. Now, Earl is some people will rank Earl as the best winner to never to win on his first time playing. I've seen him top some of those lists. So I feel
Yeah.
like as time goes on, people are going to look back at this season and enjoy and respect and understand Erica's win a bit more. But
Yeah, I
um,
mean, if I had to compare Erica to anybody, which it's hard to compare Survivor winners because everybody's path is so unique,
mhm.
but I would probably compare her more to Pia from Australian Survivor.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
She did have a very Pia-like game where she's hiding behind big threats. She's like at the bottom early. Everybody wants her off early, and then she has this rise. She's hiding behind Ricard. She's hiding behind Xander, even though really the jury respects her more, but Xander couldn't read that. So I think and Pia is very well respected amongst everybody who's watched that season as well.
Right.
Coming on top despite the tough competition, and this season is no different. This season had a lot of players who could have potentially really fricked up Erica's game, and she was able to navigate through that.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, So we got some more stuff to discuss today. I'm looking over at my notes because I didn't want to forget anything. We're gonna run through like some of the bigger moments of the episode. We're gonna talk about some of the more like what we're gonna look back on from 41, and then we got some announcements to make. More specifically, we've been saying this all season, but we have a Survivor merge buff. Still with the tags, everything. Season 41 to give out to a special um, viewer of ours. We've been building it up all season, and we're going to continue doing that for future seasons. Have a end of the year buff raffle, so we're going to announce the winner at the end of the episode. I did think this would be interesting because as you've seen, me and Gideon did a fantasy draft. I won, by the way. We'll talk about that victory a little later, but um, in doing the fantasy draft, we did sort of a cast assessment as well. We did do a cast assessment when the cast first got released, but if you guys remember, we actually didn't talk about Erika because she was one of the like. I don't think she had social media. I either she had because I looked. I mean, I looked. Finding Deshawn's was a miracle. Like I found Deshawn's and he still had like 50 followers and like none were Survivor people. Finding some of those guys is really tough. Heather couldn't find Erika, so we didn't talk about her in the cast assessment. But we did talk about her in the fantasy draft. So I thought it's very short, but I thought it might be fun to play what
Oh
our
God.
thoughts were. Um, what our
Oh
thoughts
man.
were. Do you
I hope
remember?
I don't remember what the heck I said about Erica, but I don't know her. I know her first impression to me wasn't that strong, so we'll see.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Is it
Okay,
up?
what did we say about Erica? I wonder.
Okay. Um. And tell me if you can hear it. Okay.
I will. I will.
Um. I'm gonna pick Erica. Um. I feel like Erica's been one of the people who most of these people, we obviously knew so little about before the recent promos that started coming out here at the end of August. And a lot of people, it's like, okay, now I feel like I know them or know them a lot better. Erica, for some reason, still feels like there's a disconnect. Like she's a little bit more secretive, a little more cryptic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in Survivor. It's just that because even after all the promos, it feels like we know so little about her.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to find a reason why I want her to, or why I think she would do good in the game, just because there's nothing to base it off of. Um, so, if anything, this makes me more excited to watch her. She does seem fun. I do feel like she's going to add a good vibe, a good energy to the tribe. 31-year-old communications manager from Toronto. So hopefully, the fact that she's a communications manager means that she's good at communicating and, you know, is easy to work with. So good luck, Erica.
Okay, that
I had nothing to say. None.
Yeah. We had nothing. Like we didn't have her Facebook. She had no interviews. Like nothing. And then like when they did a couple like Survivor promo interview things, it was all she had like the short. It was like, "How are you gonna win?" Her answers would be like, "I'm gonna be determined and try my best."
And me and Livy went back to watch the promo to try to see if they hinted at like a win or anything in the
Yeah.
promo.
Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Erica got no screen time in the promo. Like zero zip nothing. And
Right.
that goes back to like, dude, like that I hope Survivor realizes when you under edit a winner, it is going to cause some people to feel like they
A lot
don't
of people.
deserve it. Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of people are gonna feel like they don't deserve it.
Hmm.
And I feel like the reason that Erica like had gained so much traction and got so many stands over the course of 41 is because people were recognizing that she was playing a great game, even with the under editing.
Right.
You know,
Now, looking back, was there anyone who you feel like they really, because it was clear that Ricard probably got the most screen time of the promos. Like, dude was on the every thumbnail.
it was deserved. I feel like
Yeah,
Ricard. It was deserved because I think Ricard is the most iconic one to come out of this season,
yeah,
and I think Ricard is probably the person who will most likely come back
which we're going to
because
talk about later. Yeah,
yeah, because they're definitely gonna have people come back, and I feel like the number one person would probably be Ricard.
yeah.
Who did I feel like they probably gave too much attention to at the beginning and in the promos and everything?
JD maybe.
Probably JD. They were making it
Brad.
JD, yeah, JD and Brad. Like we thought JD was gonna be integral to the story.
Yeah,
And we also thought that Xander was going to be dumb.
yeah. Xander was the last male pick of the season, I believe, of our
We
fantasy
were
draft.
we were sus of Xander because of age, because app developer. We didn't know. And I really grew to like Xander and appreciate his game. And I think he played some of the hardest 26 days we've seen on Survivor, but I think it was all thrown away with one move. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So Ricard goes home fifth at the start of this episode. Now, when Ricard, like I said, me and Gideon watched the finale at Wendell's watching party in Hoboken. So if you were there and we met you, we got to meet some fans. That was great. Got to meet Wendell, Sari, Michelle. It was a great time. Stay tuned. I know Wendell's gonna continue doing those. Rumor is there might be Houston watch party this year with a pretty star-studded cast. Stay tuned for more info on that. We'll see. But when Ricard lost the challenge, we knew. We knew there was no way he was going home. Everything that happened after the challenge just solidified. Like Xander saying, I might play my idol for him. I was like, there's no way. If he would, they wouldn't have said it. They would have showed us the moment he had and foreshadowed it. But once they say, oh, maybe this will happen, it never happens.
Here is the thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, it probably would have been a dumb move for Xander to play his idol on Ricard.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, hindsight's 2020. He probably should have.
Well, here's the thing. If Ricard makes it to Final Four, I think he wins the game. Because he'll either win immunity.
This is the only path to victory for Xander in the finale. This is the only way that Xander could have won. He plays the idol, or either Ricard wins immunity, top 5, and then gets beaten fire by Xander or somebody else, and you can't help that. So then Ricard goes to bat for Xander on the jury. Or you play the idol for Ricard, keep him safe, and don't betray him and backstab him, and then you beat him in fire at Final Four again. That's the only way that Xander could have won.
Ricard was good. Ricard was the best fire maker out there, no?
So what? It doesn't matter, because when you're there, and it can be anybody's game. But having somebody, I've experienced this in online games of Survivor, and this is very integral. Having somebody that well-spoken going against you on a jury is an uphill battle. And Ricard buried Xander and made sure he got 0 votes. So I think he probably should have played the idol for Ricard.
But if Ricard goes home 5th, and then Xander wins final immunity, which he did, and then because he would have beat Heather, and I feel like if it was him, Deshaun, and Heather, Deshaun maybe would have got like 1 more vote than he did. But if Xander faces Erika in fire himself and beats her, not only does that take out the only person that could beat him, but it also is one last big move for him. And I think if he does that, he wins the game.
I think it would have been close between him and Deshaun. Yeah, but I still feel like Ricard was hurt by that move, and he had massive influence on the jury. He would probably go back talking good about Deshaun because he doesn't want Xander to win, because he feels so mad that Xander betrayed him just before he was able to get the win. That was a fresh wound, and he was still trying to process it. I'm not convinced that.
Did Xander betray him, though? I mean, did Ricard really ever think there was a chance that Xander would play his idol for him and not save himself?
According to the edit and his confessionals, yeah, he did.
Well, that's because they wanted to make us think there was a chance Ricard. I don't know. I feel like if we asked Ricard and be like, did you ever think Xander would actually play his idol?
That's a question we'll ask Ricard in post interview. But I mean, as of right now, with all the information presented to me, I mean, and I read this in a press interview from Xander. Xander said that once he saw Ricard give him a glare when he tried smiling him at the jury, he knew he had lost. He said he thought, oh, maybe I've got a really good shot against the other people. And then I looked at Ricard and the jury, gave him a smile, and he gave me a cold stare. And I knew that it was going to be an uphill battle. That's Xander saying that. So that's why, I don't know, man. I just feel like having Ricard go against you, Ricard has, everybody in the jury loves Ricard. Right. Everybody's going to be influenced by Ricard. I really think Ricard going against Xander is really the reason why Xander got 0 votes.
So if Ricard remained in Final 5 to Final 4, whether that was winning immunity or getting whatever, no matter how he did it, assuming, like I said, I believe from what I've heard, he was like a lock to win a fire making. If Ricard makes it to final three, I feel like no matter who's in the final three, he would have won.
Right.
And I feel like if the final three was him, Xander, and Heather, he might have actually swept.
He probably would. He probably would have swept. Yes, and that's why I think people like Ricard, in order for them to not be bitter, in order for people like Ricard to not be bitter, those big threats, those big influential people, you have to take them out in fire. Like, usually the people taken out in fire are the big threats. This wasn't the case this season because Heather was taken out. But you think of Devons. You think of Lucina. You think, the big threats usually get taken out at 4. They're the so-called fallen angels. But a fallen angel.
Who was taken out of fire in 39? It wasn't Janet. Lauren?
Yeah, it was Lauren, and Lauren would have won.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like those fallen angels, they can't be bitter because they are the biggest threat, and they were given the opportunity to save their game through fire. And then
Which is something they could practice.
Which is something they could practice, which is something they could have practiced at home.
Yeah.
They could have practiced on the, during the game. And, if your fire doesn't break the rope, that's on you, bro. And that's like, and you can't really be mad at that. The only person you can be mad at for losing fire is your darn self,
So if Ricard had won, where would you have placed him on the winner tier rank?
It'd be hard to make a case of him being anything other than A or S.
I think it'd be a pretty solid, like, middle tier A, middle A.
I mean, Ricard, if he won this game, if he played, I think Ricard maybe took Shan out a little too early, in my opinion. Looking back on it, because Ricard's strategy, from what it seemed like to me, after you take out Shan, you're really trying to win out.
Yeah.
Surely Ricard was thinking, okay, like once Final 5 hits, I have to win out. Period. Which is very hard to do. It's really hard playing from the top for so long. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, the only person who really was like clearly on the top the whole time and still won, the only two I can really think of is Tom Westman and Boston Rob in Redemption Island.
And people are too smart for that crap now, man. Look at Tony. He was on to us, he was on the top, but he was shielding himself all the time. And that's why I think maybe he should have kept Shannon a little longer, even though maybe he sensed that Power 4 alliance might have consumed them. But I don't know, man. Deshaun wanted to make that move on Shannon. You probably could have made it happen a little later.
Yeah.
But, that's 3 episodes ago, man. Like, you can't cry over spilled milk. But, once Ricard lost, it was over. And because he put himself in a position in which he had to win out, as to where Erika is playing more of a game that I respect, which is a social game. Even though Ricard did play a very social and strategic game, Erika put herself in positioning where she didn't have to win out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a game that I can really, really respect from Erika, because in my opinion, the social aspect of the game is the most important. And I think the most important aspect of social gameplay is your timing. And I think Erika's timing was to a T. Now, Ricard was going all out, going for that legendary status, and I really appreciate that. And he's definitely gained legendary status. Don't get me wrong. I think he's definitely already very iconic. But to win and play a game like he was, you have to win out final 5, win that final 5 challenge. You have to. And I think
which he probably would have if not for that advantage at the beginning.
Right, and that's what he said in post-press interviews already. He's saying, I wouldn't change anything about my game other than where that dang advantage was hidden, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last note I'll say on the fire making challenge was probably the closest we've ever had. No.
It was such a good fire making challenge, Adam. I mean, and for us to experience that in a bar full of Survivor fans was just absolutely iconic because everyone went crazy. It was great to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite fire making challenge, other than in terms of storyline, Tony's and Sarah's were better, but in
Yeah.
terms of intensity, I think this one was the best. It
Right.
was
Right.
it was absolutely phenomenal to watch. So close, so close. Cut the, you know, a comeback and then your fire dies and then another comeback. Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah, one thing, like, I did think it was a good finale episode overall, but one thing I like is that in every finale, it's built that every scene and every moment is super important, and the tribal councils are super important, and the challenges are also like a huge. You're on like the edge of your seat. I felt like the challenges just felt like regular episode challenges. Not only in like how fast they were finished, but also just like the intensity of the players playing it and like how fast, like time wise, it was. It's just like the challenge where Erika did the puzzle. That was the second to last challenge. Now, my favorite thing for Survivor they used to do was the second to last challenge was epic. Was a big epic
Big
challenge.
maze,
A
which
maze, blindfolded,
which
maybe.
maybe because of COVID couldn't happen, and I'm not gonna knock them because they couldn't do a big challenge because this season there hasn't really been big challenges. This definitely wasn't the
Yeah.
strongest season when it came to challenges. So I wasn't too pissed off about that. Maybe you could have edited a little more intense, maybe like really give the heartbreak edit to Ricard when he loses, but um, I really do wish there was an endurance challenge that went on for quite a while at Final Four.
Before, yeah.
I really think, sure, the
I think
spelling.
that might have been the worst final challenge
Yeah, I
in
wasn't.
Survivor history. It
Yeah,
happened so quick. It was like over.
it was very quick. Xander dominated, but oh my goodness, dude, yeah, I'm a sucker for endurance challenges. Even the hand.
Yeah.
I wish they brought back the hand on the idol. Oh man, that would have been so epic. Oh.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't. Um so Deshaun gets one vote. Everything else goes to Erika. I think let's be honest, Danny maybe I'm wrong. I feel like Danny only voted for Deshaun because he wanted his bro to get second place money. There's
Right.
no way Deshaun actually thought there's no way that Danny actually thought Deshaun deserves this the most and has played the best Survivor game.
Danny had me convinced in his jury talk that he was going to vote for Erica, so I definitely agree with you there. Um,
Yeah.
because he was speaking really highly to Erica. He said it, quote for quote. Hey, I mean, Erica, you played the game I wish I played.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's like if
very
Danny
high.
knew, yeah, like if Danny knew, okay, Erica's gonna win no matter who I vote for. So if it ends up being that I could give Deshaun second place money over Xander, remember Danny tried to work with Xander on multiple occasions, and every time Xander did not vote along with him, and that's just it wasn't that Xander had anything personal against Danny. It's just they had different.
When it comes to this final tribal, I really do feel like this is where we saw Xander's age catch up to him. I
Yeah.
mean, because he really did bomb this thing.
Hmm.
I love Xander to death. I mean, we were rooting for him, and I just feel like he gets asked a question about a social awareness. He can't answer it. He never talked about the fake idol play. I mean, that was a huge move. The fake idol play against the knowledge is power that could have been used for him to talk about. He could have highlighted using Ricard as a shield. He touched on that a little bit, but that was a
He
big
didn't
move.
touch at all on pre-merge stuff. I
I know
remember in
he didn't
uh
touch. I mean, if I'm Xander, I'm saying, guys, I did not have a vote for
right.
4 votes, and I managed to stay alive because of my social standing with Yase. You
Yeah.
know, they took Voce over me because of my social standing. They kept me around because of my social standing. Um, and Liana felt like she was close enough to me that I had an idol, and she felt close enough. She thought that I was close enough to her that I was telling her I had an idol, and she believed me, and I duped her. Like that's a social that's a social move and
Right.
strategic. And like he just wasn't talking about that at all. I definitely think he was nervous. It definitely didn't help that you had the most well spoken person in that room, Ricard, actively going against you. And it also didn't help that Erika was killing it. But yeah, I mean, this was not a good final travel for Xander. I feel like he could have earned a few votes, but I feel like after he made the decision to keep Erika, which the jury was confused by, and he was giving that whole speech when he was choosing a person to go to fire. He was giving the whole, you know, in my opinion, you don't say what you think about the jury in front of the jury. I feel like that's a little tacky. Um, and it didn't pay off for Xander at all. And once he said that to me, I realized he wasn't going to win.
Yeah. I also just overall don't. I think this was one of the weaker, just like final tribal councils. Like I feel like there really weren't any tough questions asked. Like the toughest question was probably that when Leon asked Xander, like, "What was a social move you made?" I remember. A side note in Heather's post game interview, she said when she watched the season back as it aired, she reached out to Xander and was like, "Why didn't you tell us all the stuff he did?" She's like, "I 100% would have voted for you." And this is someone who is Erika's number like tight. Like she was with Erika the whole game, and she told Xander if you would have just mentioned all the stuff he did. Now, obviously, tribal council probably went on for like 2 hours, and we saw what 15 minutes of it. So of course, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't see. But if Survivor only is 15 minutes, they're going to show you the most important stuff. And if they failed to show something like that was super important, then that's more so to blame the editors than the players themselves. However, I like when they would go up one by one and ask questions. That I think that's not better for the players, but for the fans, and it's really all about the fans, you know. Until we get on, it's all about the fans. It's all about the buffs. But I personally like it that way better. But 0 votes for Xander. Come on. I agree with you. As Tribal went on, I was like, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay. Secretly, I was like, okay. I wasn't saying Erika was going to win, but I was like, Erika is a really good shot. Like I had my money on Xander, and I obviously have been super high on Ricard since the cast got leaked. Um, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I could see Erika pulling this off. Um, I know Peridium was convinced. Idled Out told me he was convinced. Phil from the Survivor Specialists. I think Alexa was Team Xander with me as well, but she said she saw Erika winning. Once Tribal Council started, and like after a minute, I was like, oh, okay, I think Erika might pull this off. But I didn't think Xander was going to get 0 votes. I mean, geez. I mean, even someone like Nasir, who was like pretty tight with Xander. Um, yeah, I don't know. Did you think he would get 0?
No. I think there's a lot of factors that went into him getting 0 votes.
None of the original Yase voted for him. I mean,
I
jeez.
think I think it has to do a little bit with the social movements that were happening on the season, in my opinion. I also think it has to do with, the jury talks to Ponderosa, obviously.
Yeah,
I think they were in agreement. And, I think Heather, Ricard, they're both coming back. They're talking about how good Erika's game is. And I really feel like I think that those two factors, which is, jury number 7 and 8 coming in, and then, as well as the social things that were happening. I really, I don't know. I just, I think those were the factors that played into Xander getting 0 votes. I don't agree with him getting 0 votes, but
Was he
I
robbed? Is Xander a robbed winner?
no.
Okay.
I don't think Xander was robbed. I think Erika played a great game. I and I just wish I could have seen more of it. And this goes back to me thinking hot take. I used to think this, but since I started podcasting and talking to survivors, I don't think this anymore. But it's the same thing. That's why Natalie White deserved her win too. I mean, it's the same thing.
What?
I want to see more. Like I wanted to see more of Erica's early game. Like she's the winner, man. Like you don't have to be obvious that she's gonna win, editors, but just like let me get to know her. Like take me out to dinner first. You feel me? Like you gotta,
Right.
like I mean, she had a really strong final few episodes, but we've seen that with season 38, and people were pissed.
Russell Hantz deserved to win Survivor Samoa. Do you think any of Xander's lack of votes was due to bitter jurors, or was it truly just they respected Erika's game more? I'm not saying, of course, there's some people that truly respect Erika's game, but was there anyone who you think was a bitter jury, a bitter vote? If any, I'd say Liana.
I would say Liana, maybe Shan. I don't know. But I don't think bitter is the right word to use for how they felt towards Xander. I I feel like
Nope.
I I don't f- I don't feel like a white guy was gonna get votes. I'm gonna be honest. Okay,
Yeah.
I just don't feel like I'm not saying that Erica got the votes because she's a woman person of color. She deserved it because she deserved it. She deserved that win 100%. But as far as to why he got 0 votes, I think that did play a little bit of a factor. Maybe unknown biases from the jury, but and Erica deserved it. I feel like there's a lot of factors that went into Xander not getting the votes. And I think that was one of them, what I just said. And I also think it's just like, yeah, he did choke the final tribal, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say, do you think anybody was bitter? I wouldn't say anybody was bitter. I think they gave the win to a
I'd
deserving.
say if I had to pick one, it'd be Liana.
Right. But he was never going to get Liana's vote anyway, no matter what. But I mean,
Because she was bitter. And she thought he had a stupid face.
look, man, Liana was secretly in love with Xander, but that's a story for another day.
So, the player of the episode, I'm probably going to give it to Erika because she won.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was gonna put up our fantasy team one last time.
Sure.
Okay. Let me.
I thought my boy. Hey, I got second place, so.
Yeah, of 2. One moment. Okay. All right. Is it up on the screen?
Pretty good. Yeah, you had a pretty good team, Adam.
Yes, I think I had a much better team than you did. No offense.
Right.
Yeah.
After I had a chance with Shan, like the whole time, like middle of the season, I was like, well, I have Shan, so I'm okay. But
Oh, wow, it's hard to imagine that like Sarah and Jeannie were picked before Erika. Well, I even picked Sydney before Erika, who at the time I was convinced had the injury.
right.
Wow.
Ugh, my boy Voce, rest in peace. Robbed God.
Some things that we predicted that like didn't come true. We thought this was going to be a terrible weather season, just based off of the buff icons and Jeff saying how dangerous it was, we really thought there'd be a medevac. There really wasn't like any injury, anything, at least that we saw, right?
This was not the toughest season of Survivor. I just had
But it was the only season that they had no rice. I don't know if you knew that.
that's also not true.
I believe it's the 5th or 6th season they had no rice, if I remember correctly. Okay, we're gonna talk about this tomorrow as well, but we're gonna tell you guys soon some of the exciting stuff we have coming up. But okay, couple last 2 questions for you, and I'll answer them too. Okay, where does this season rank for you? You can rank it in tier rank or in like just from 1 to 41 or both. And then also, if you had to pick 4 players that are most likely to return from this season and play again, who would you pick? Now, I'll answer mine first, so you can think while I talk. If I had to tier rank this season, I don't think there's a letter low enough in the alphabet that can encapsulate. No, I'd probably give it like I don't think I'd give it an F. I don't think it was one of the I think there's at least 4 or 5 seasons that are worse. And the biggest factor that affects that opinion is the cast. It's honestly one of the top 10 newbie casts in Survivor history. Probably towards the bottom of the top 10, but for me personally, I think the cast really carried this season, and some of the best seasons of Survivor, Pearl Islands, even like Borneo, Australian Outback, have not really had a lot of big moves or big moments. They just had an amazing cast. Like Heroes and Villains, it's Tocantins. Like no idle plays in Tocantins. There was really no blind sides except Brendan. I guess Coach was blindside. Oh, I guess what's his name? Tyson was blindsided. So there was a couple blindsides, but overall, what I'm trying to say is I feel like they threw so much new stuff, advantages, twists, idols in this season, and if the cast wasn't as great as it was, it would be an F for sure. I'd probably give this season like a high D. I don't know if I'd switch it over into C, but I feel like it's a high D. Like if they would have just dropped like the knowledge is power and like the hourglass, I feel like I would have and the do or die. I feel like I probably would have given this like a C plus. I'd say it's like a high D for me right now. As far as like ranking from 1 to 41, that's tough because I've never really done this sort of ranking before. But I asked the question, so I'll answer it. I'd probably say like 30 to 35 range. And then okay, so tell me your season rank, and then we'll do the who we want to return.
I would probably give it like a low C, high D when it comes to
Okay.
season. Like I said, I think it's one of the better casts. Love the cast,
Yeah.
but I think too many twists and kind of a low key disappointing end game. I don't know. Who do I think will come back? Top
Well,
four?
where would you rank this season from one being
Probably 30 to 35 as well.
okay?
Now, who do I think will come back?
If you 4 most likely to return.
Ricard, Shan, Xander.
And really those are the 3 locks. Like I can't see those 3 not returning.
Dark Horse, Voce.
Voce's not coming back. The thing is, there are great pre-merge like Sydney. I mean, I guess Sydney was technically pre-merge.
Look, Wentworth came back, so Voce can come back. That's all I'm gonna say.
I guess. I feel like Sydney could come back. I feel like JD could come back and like a fan's favorite season. But if I mean Erika, I feel like Erika's gonna be one of those winners like Chris or Jenna or Natalie that just kind of like wins and then ghosts, like doesn't ever play again, like Vesepia. But I feel like 20 years from now, Erika's gonna be like what Vesepia is now. Like when Vesepia won, it was like, what? How the hell did Vesepia win? And then like everyone was like worst winner, like bottom five. And now Vesepia is like the most underrated winner of all time, which I don't know about the most, but I think she's definitely one of the most. I feel like 20 years from now, people are going to look back at Erika's win and be like, she was a hugely underrated winner. So maybe she returns for like Winners at War 2, Survivor 80. But I'm not saying I wouldn't mind seeing her back. I would be totally fine if I saw her back. Deshaun?
I don't know if Deshaun will come back.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. But
I wouldn't mind, but I don't know.
Nasir? He would
I think
do it.
I would love to see Nasir back. I would love that.
Yeah. No, if I had to pick the 4 most likely, and I'm looking over because I have it up on my screen here, I think it'd probably be Ricard, Shan, and Xander are the locks. I just don't see. I mean, Xander is like, yeah, the fan favorite of the year. If they still were doing that, I feel like it'd be Xander. If I had to pick one more, I'd probably say Sydney. Yeah. I'd probably say Sydney. And I know Ricard also is a big Amazing Race fan. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on that with his husband, Andy, right? Yeah. Sydney Russell, Amazing Race. Russell Hance. I don't know if you saw Sydney's tweet. She revealed that Russell was her favorite player of all time. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be surprised if Ricard and Xander and Shan weren't back by season 50. Like I feel like 50's got to be like Legends or something like that, something big. If that's the case, I feel like you can't have more than one. I feel like if that's the case, it'd probably be Ricard. Also, he just had a baby. I'm sure he wants to. If he's going to return, I feel like he's going to take a few years to chill for a bit. But anything else from season 41 before we make our announcements and what's coming up, or did we recapture the finale?
I think we recaptured the finale very well. I think it was a good season, good start back. Hoping to see less advantages, but from what I've seen in the promo already, not gonna be
well, the promo the cast looks really cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can be like this season where the cast does, somewhat outweigh. But okay. So the announcements we have. Okay, the raffle. For our Survivor 41 merge buff. Gideon, do you want to announce who our winner is?
Nah, you do it, bro.
Well, can you at least give me a drum roll? The winner is...
Dean. Oh.
Yeah, I was going to do it like Jeff reading the last card. Barry Dean is our winner. And the reason Barry Dean won was he was the first member here at Reality Pop. If you don't know how to be a member, go to our channel and click right next to subscribe or subscribed. It'll say join. You can join to be a member. There's some great tier ranks. You get a free entry into this raffle. And because Barry Dean was our one member, he got the most entries that way. So Barry Dean, shout out to you. Thanks for being our first member. Here's your reward, a Survivor merge buff. You also get access to interviews early. We have interviews with, as of now, we have 10 of the 18 castaways from Survivor 41. We feel like we're going to be able to get them all, but you will get early access to them. And if you're a $10 member, you will actually get to sit in on the interviews. You get a chance to say hi, to maybe ask a question or two. You get to sit on the interviews you get to talk with Erika, with Ricard, all these guys. Just become a member. Just become a member. Just do it. And then you get free entries into merge raffles like Barry Dean. He's just a regular member, and he gets he basically, as much money as he would have spent on the merge buff, he got back. So essentially, he's getting all the access for free. So that could be you. Okay. The announcements we have, if you haven't watched our last 2 or 3 videos, this is actually going to be the last Survivor Buffs episode here on the Reality Pop channel. But that doesn't mean that we're leaving. We're still very much part of the Reality Pop team. We are still a Reality Pop podcast. We're still working closely and we're tight with all the other Reality Pop members. It's just every year we're trying to have one podcast branch out, and we are going to have our own YouTube channel. The link to that is at the very top of the description. So please check the description. All of the exit interviews, all of the other stuff we're doing. We're interviewing Jonathan Penner, Andrew Savage. We've interviewed with Spencer, Kelly Wentworth, Coach, Jerry, a bunch of other survivors, past contestants coming up. You will miss all of them if you don't subscribe to our new channel. So please check it out. The link is at the top of the description. The other things we have coming up is tomorrow night, we're doing a season 41 season retrospective with other Reality Pop heads. We have Justin, the host of The Block, which is our Big Brother podcast. We have Chris Swanpool, who is the co-host of Survivor Worldwide and the Challenge Insiders here on Reality Pop. And we also have the one, the only Coach Drew, the host of Reality Hot Takes. All of those amazing podcasts here on Reality Pop. Potentially more guests, but that's it for that one. We also have our season 42 cast assessment. We have exit interviews coming up. We have a Survivor super fan roundtable. This is sign language for roundtable. That'll be Wednesday of next week. The cast assessment will probably be the following Wednesday. And then once the cast assessment is done, we will start doing our exit interviews. We have more Survivor Chronicles, as I said, maybe some more tier lists, all leading up for March 9th. You can find it all on our new channel, which is Survivor Buffs. It'll just be us there. Again, link to that, top of the description. Also, check us out, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. The links to all 3 in the description. Twitter's in the description. Instagram's in the description. Discord's in the description. Guys, season 41 was awesome. It was our first season watching it with you all. We enjoyed recapping it. Thanks for sticking with us, whether you started with this episode or from the start. We love you guys, and please check us out on our new channel. Over and out.
All right.